Hey there, comic book fans. I'm back from the comic shop again this week. And as you can see, I didn't make it till Saturday. But I got a bunch of stuff to show you. Library stuff, Christmas stuff. 4 comics from my comic shop this week. Plus, I got some freebies from my comic shop this week, but I'll explain when I get to them. But let's start with the comics. We've got Criminal, number 11. This is Cruel Summer, Part 7. Part 7. Is it the last? Yes, the last. Finally, the heist is here. So the first 6 parts were all character parts with our lead character here and his new girlfriend and his son and some private eye who was hired to find the girlfriend by another ex-boyfriend, and the son's friend, I think, had a part. So this is now we're up to the big score. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, looks like some big score, some heist things are going on. I don't want to reveal too much. So, but Criminal number 11, Brubaker and Phillips. Really looking forward to that. And then the final issue, East of West number 45, which my comic shop owner told me just showed up. It wasn't even solicited. It's extra thick. It was an extra $1. I think it's $5. There's a shooting war been going on for a while, and now I guess this resolves everything. It's a wraparound cover. We don't have the usual boring half-type cover. We had the usual boring logo pages, though. But yeah, this has been a really good series. I've really enjoyed it. I don't know, what's been going on here, 4 or 5 years? I don't even know when it started, but East of West 45, the last issue of East. I didn't even know this was the last issue until someone said it this week. Who was it? Was it, I can't remember. Said a couple, I think I saw Ghost Critic say it on Twitter. And I was like, oh, okay, last issue. I better go get it. Then we've got another one coming to an end. Outcast, issue 43. This is only going to 48. So it'll be finishing up in 2020, which doesn't sound like a real year. Sounds like some sort of science fiction year. Seems like we just turned to the 2000s. Now we're going to 2020. Paul Azaceta, Robert Kirkman. Oh, look at that. Something bad's happening in town. Demon-like creatures inhabiting people fighting back against them, and it's finally all coming to a head and ending. What's the 4th comic I got? Was a pickup that came out last week. I just picked it up just because I thought it was a cool acetate cover. This is Vampirella, who I don't usually read, but it's got this nice acetate overlay thing. And I just thought it was well done and pretty cool. I could add this to my bought just for their covers collection. Let's see, who does this? Christopher Priest. Ergun Gunduz. Oh, Matt Idelson is the editor. I used to work with him at Marvel many, many years ago. He was an editor at Marvel, then he was an editor at DC. Now he's an editor at IDW, is this? Dynamite. But I bought this one just because I liked the cover. Now let me show you a few of the books I got for Christmas. Move those out of the way so I don't damage them. This, Seth's Dominion. This is actually, there's a part of it is a book. This is Seth's, the one-named cartoonist, Gregory Gallant. He does Clyde fans, which I love, and it's a good life if you don't weaken. One part of the book is sort of his history in pictures. The other part of the book is his history in comics and illustration. And then in the middle of the book, whoops, am I in the right middle? Nope, I'm not in the... It's weird, it opens like that. And then in the middle of the book is a DVD with a documentary about Seth. What is this? A film by Luke Chamberlain. Seth's Dominion. I think this has in it, I remember seeing in one of the Palookaville issues that was a small hardcover like this, they had something with Seth was doing Clyde Fans. He built this miniature town that Clyde Fans took place in, and I think that ended up in an art gallery, and they had a show with the town. I think this documentary has something to do with that little built town too. But I look forward to seeing that. And then we've got The Treasury of 20th Century Murder, The Black Dahlia by Rick Geary, which got bent, I think. I don't know why this isn't hardcover. I think I've got a dozen of the Rick Geary Treasury of Murder, 20th Century Murder, Victorian Murder books. They're some of my favorites. They're usually on my Amazon list, and my family gets them for me for Christmas. But they're true crime comics. There's all sorts of different ones. I really enjoy them. They're mostly hardcover. I don't know why this one is soft cover, but it is. So, like I said, Rick Geary is one of my favorite cartoonists. He just does such a great job. If you like true crime comics, give one of these a read. Then we've got a second Rick Geary, The True Death of Billy the Kid. Again, this is a strange size. Most of the hardcovers are this size. Almost all the Treasury of Victorian Murders and Treasury of 20th Century Murders are that size, only hardcover. This one is more around comic size, though a little wider. Once again, same thing. True crime. He just gives you... Oh, look, a receipt. A gift receipt. He gives you the story of the death of Billy the Kid. You know, goes through his life, goes through his death, goes through all the people involved. It's just fun. I really enjoy. I'm not a huge true crime guy. I watch some true crime podcasts. I watch some true crime documentaries every now and then. But this is my favorite true crime stuff, of course, comics. And then the last thing I got for Christmas is this. What's the name of it? The Problem of Susan and Other Stories. Neil Gaiman, P. Craig Russell, also Scott Hampton, Paul Chadwick, and Laverne Kinzierski. I'm not that big a Neil Gaiman fan, but I'm a huge P. Craig Russell fan. Also, Paul Chadwick. I love Concrete. But this is just, and Craig Russell does this. He's got a couple of things where he just adapts Neil Gaiman stories. I mean, he's adapted old opera and stuff like that, and he's also adapted Neil Gaiman. These are prose stories by Neil Gaiman that Craig Russell adapts. Does an adaptation of. And I think Paul Chadwick must have done some of it too. Art by Paul Chadwick. And I guess Scott Hampton did. That looks like Scott Hampton there. But I got, I buy almost everything Craig Russell does. So I saw this out and I put it on my list. And then from the library, I took out the Mammoth Book of Best Crime Comics. Look at that. It's got black and white crime comics from all eras. Ah, that's a Ms. Tree from the 80s. That looks like some Jose Munoz right there. So that must be European, Spanish crime comics. Oh, there's some Paul Grist. That's, what is that, 39? I can't remember Paul. Someone else will answer the phone. What's the name of Paul Grist? Paul from somebody, I don't know. The Button. Bill Everett, 1950. Wow, we got a Bill Everett 1950 story in here. So this is just the Mammoth Book of Crime. Oh, now there's the Paul Grist. Detective Kane, that's the name of the Paul Grist detective series. But I just was looking around on the website of my library, and actually this comes from another library. I can go to my library's website and see what comics are in the system, and then they send them from another library. Let's see, what library is this from? Does it say? Cornwall Public Library. So this is from Cornwall, New York. And then the other thing I got, I think it was Sleepy Reader, was buying issues of The Savage Sword of Conan. So I was like, he had the individual issues. And I was like, and I used to have a bunch of them, but I only have a few of them left. I was like, I want to look through some old Savage Sword of Conan. I wonder if the library has any. So I looked it up. There's some. This is volume, because I knew that Dark Horse put out this volume years ago. I think 2007 is the year on it. And this is the very earliest Savage Sword of Conan's. The printing isn't always great on it, but it's okay. Like some of these early Barry Windsor Smith issues are light, but a lot of them are, like this one looks a little light right here. But most of them, the printing on them is pretty good. Look at it. Alex Nino Conan. Look at that. Look at that crazy artwork. But like I said, I saw Sleepy Reader looking at some issues of Savage Sword. I'm like, I want to look through some issues of Savage Sword. Looks like some Buscema and Nebres there. And these, I still have Luba, which is 600 pages. Crime Comics is 450 pages. And this one is 550 pages. That's 1,600 pages of comics I have out of the library. So I got a lot to read. That's one of the interesting things about library books, too, is you got to read them in a certain amount of time. But I'm like everybody else here in the comics community. Sometimes I buy a big volume like this, and it sits on my shelf for years. So I have to at least look through this in a month. And then I got a present from my friend Rob. This is a Savage Dragon. He didn't do the sculpting on it. He does the 3D printing. He's into 3D printing. So you can find online, people do 3D models. Someone did a 3D model of the Savage Dragon and posted it online. And he can go and get it and download it to his 3D printer and print it out. And then he usually just paints them simply. Sometimes like the plastic he used for the 3D printer is some other color, but then he painted this with he just spray paints them. I think this is the Rust-Oleum green, but yeah, nice. I think he's got a sort of different head for one of his little spikes fell off. I'll have to worry about that some other time, because I think he's got a fin on. This must be a certain Savage Dragon because he's got guns and a bandolero. But that's pretty cool, huh? And probably even 3D printed this stand because that's plastic too. And then, as I was standing there in the comic shop, some guy came in looking to sell a milk crate full of comics that were some real. I think my comic shop owner, ended up giving him like $20 for the crate, and even then he was like, eh. But he was going through and go, that one's too crappy. Can't even sell it. I was like, hey, give me the crappy ones. I'll draw one of my monsters. Hold on a second. Monsters on Comics. Here's one of my Monsters on Comics where I draw in black and white over an old comic page. I forget which was this, an issue of Dazzler? Comic. I actually have gotten some of these from him before when he's been there going, I can't sell that one. I was like, I'll use them as drawing paper. So I don't even know what he just handed me a pile of them. So let's look through. Here's the battered old comics. And right away I said, I have the Avengers. This is when I first started buying the Avengers. Is this George Perez insides? Nope, it's Sal Buscema still. But Perez did some around here too. We got Avengers 158. Let me see how I can move these. I'll just put them down here. Howard the Duck 14. Conan 40. I'm going to have to read that one. Tarzan 227. Oh, look at that. The Whitman version of Superman Breaking the Chains. One of the Superman. Ghostly Haunts. Giant size Conan the Barbarian. As I pick it up, the cover's coming off. Ooh, a 90s comic. Generation X. What number is that? Where's the number? Generation X something. July. Superman Special Edition. Comic for racing fans. Robin the Girl Wonder. Marvel Comics presents. Hulk 228. Murder is the Maid Called Moonstone. Put these down here. Star Wars 12. Weird Wonder Tales. Logan's Run #1. Look at that spine roll, huh? The staples all the way, 1/4 inch away. Justice League 142. Howard 16. DC Comics presents Flash and Superman. Invaders #16. That one the cover's falling off. Judo Master. Modern Comics. That means it's a reprint. Monster Hunters, where you can't even read that logo. Haunted Tank, GI Combat, and that's the last of them. So I'll never draw on all these, but some of them when I need a piece of old newsprint to do something on, I'll have a pile to choose from. All right, I think that's everything. So let's show you a little something I've done this week. And that's Dreams of Things #79. I marker colored this one. This one was a little weird because it's not one big image. It's a whole bunch of little images. Kind of reminds me of those old split cover Marvel ones where they had a lot going on in one cover. And there's like 3 or 4 distinct images on this one. So it's a little hard to color this one, to figure out all that stuff. But I think I pulled it off in the end. Wonder what those are, just like random buildings up top. Sometimes I wonder where this stuff comes from out of my brain. All right, so there you go. Comics, comic books, books, a little sculpture, a little artwork. Got to see a little of everything this week.